Hey guys, it's Reagan, and today I'm going to film my November wrap-up and December TBR. Yes. For the month of December, it's December now. For the month of November, I read a total of 5 books, but I only actually have one in hard copy, so I'll just start with that one. The very first book I read in the month of November is Perfect Ruin by Lauren DeStefano. And it follows a girl who lives in a world called Interment, and Interment is like a floating city in the sky. I have to say the writing in this book was really enjoyable to read. It was quite beautiful, actually. And I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. I actually did a full review on it, or a mini review on it, and I'll link that down below if you're more curious to hear more of my thoughts. The book I read this month, I read on my iPad, and that is Onyx by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And this is the second book in the Obsidian series, the Lux series. It's called the Lux series. It's called the Lux series. I fixed it. And this book is just as ridiculous as the first one. Okay, really. I see why they're super popular because, I mean, the romance part of the book is super addicting, but let's face it, guys, when it comes to actual plot, it is definitely lacking in that department, but that doesn't make it any less enjoyable because I still read it in like one sitting and I ended up giving it 3 stars? I think 4 stars. I ended up giving it 4 stars because as much as it's maybe not the most literary thing I've read in the world, it's still really entertaining and I just can't help but love Damon and the girl, who I can't remember her name right now, interaction. It's so hilarious. It's so funny. And I think I'll just be reading that book series, of course, across the next couple of months and enjoying the whole thing. It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. The third book I read this month was probably my favorite because it was awesome. And it was The First Lord's Fury by Jim Butcher, and this is the last book in the Codex Alera fantasy series. Guys. It was so good. Obviously, 5 out of 5. It was freaking amazing, and I was reading this with my friend Jenny from Jellyfy, because I got her to read this book series, and we were both just obsessing about it, talking about it. So freaking good. I mean, it's like a 700-page book, and I read it so quickly. It's action-packed. And the first one, and I'll tell you for the 1,000th time, is Furies of Calderon, and it's really good. And I'll tell you what it's about again, because I obviously can't tell you the premise of the last book. Follows a boy named Tavi. Tavi lives in a world called Alera. And in Alera, people have control over elements. These things are called Furies, and they're basically manifestations of elements. So there's wind Furies, water Furies, fire Furies, metal Furies, etc. But our main character, Tavi, does not have control over these. So, because of this, he has to use his wit and his other talents to continue on in the world. So, it's amazing. And the cool thing about this story is, Tavi in the first book is like 14, Tavi in the last book is like 27. So it has a huge character arc, and it's epic, and it's amazing, and all the characters are awesome, and I love it. Just read it, okay? Please do it for me. And the last 2 books I read this month, well, the first one being The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket, the first one in the series of unfortunate events. Just so entertaining. I have to admit, though, like, I read all of this series when I was, like, in elementary school, and I wanted to reread it because, honestly, I felt like I missed everything as an elementary school student besides the obvious. So I'm really excited to reread it. And when I did reread the first one, I forgot how messed up this series is. This series is really messed up. Like, these poor children. Anyway, though, it was really entertaining and really fun. So immediately after that, I picked up The Reptile Room by Lemony Snicket, the second book in this series of unfortunate events. So great. I gave both of them 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. I'm really enjoying rereading this series, and I don't think it's going to take me very long to reread them for obvious reasons, because they're like that long and the font's like that big. So yeah, those are all the books I read this month, this past month in November, and I don't have much for a TBR for December, but I am currently reading 2 books right now, so I'll go ahead and show you guys those books. The first one is More Than This by Patrick Ness, and I'm reading this with 2 other booktubers, Raylene from Padfoot and Progs 07 and Jacob from The 8th Potter. I'm about 300 pages in, and we should be finished by this Friday. Guys, this book is crazy awesome. It's insane. It's like blowing my mind. I still have no idea what's going on, and literally I have like less than 200 pages left. It's just so good. And to give you a premise, it follows a guy named Seth who basically in the first chapter dies. And he remembers dying, but then all of a sudden he wakes up in his childhood neighborhood and it's abandoned, and he basically has to figure out what is going on. Because at first he thinks it's hell, but he soon realizes it's a little bit more than that. Get it? It's more than this. And the last book I have planned directly for the month of December is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. This is a huge adult fantasy epic. I own the whole trilogy and I'm really excited just to sit down and read some good old fantasy. This series is set in a world called the Final Empire, and the Final Empire is basically a world where the evil guy won, so it's awful. Like, there's just dust, there's mist everywhere, and all the plants are brown. It's really shitty. And in this world, there's two different types of people. There's the ska, which is basically slaves, and then there's the nobility who controls the slaves. There's a band of people within this world who are planning to overthrow the king somehow. That's what they say. I have no idea how they're gonna do it because I'm only 100 pages in. Again, like I mentioned in my book haul, the magic system is really what's really entranced me about this story. They use, basically, the people who have magic, the mistlings or the mistborns, they use alloys for magic, so they consume metal and then they burn through different types of alloys to do different types of things. It's just really, really unique and really interesting, and I'm really enjoying it so far. And as for the rest of the month, for TBR-wise, I'll probably just read a lot of fantasy, because that's what I want to read, so that's what I'm going to do. Alrighty guys, there is my November wrap-up and December TBR. See you guys soon with another video.